What's up, War Room World? Welcome to another edition of Inside the War Room, brought to you by War Room Sports. I'm one of your hosts, Devin McMillan, and I'm here with my homies, Jimmy Williams
Shout out to the plus size ladies at me.
and B. Austin.
Hey, yo, bust it, baby. Let's get busy on the flip side.
We're here to talk a little bit about NBA Conference Finals. Of course, the NBA is down to its Final Four. We're coming at you a little bit late because the Memphis Grizzlies have already got their ass kicked in Game 1 by the San Antonio Spurs. But we're still going to give you our thoughts on the series.
The
That
series.
series, and of course the Miami Heat versus the Indiana Pacers, which starts on Wednesday. So I guess since the Spurs and the Memphis Grizzlies has already started, fellas, I know it's going to be a little difficult to put Game 1 out of your mind, but let's rewind to, prior to that game and kind of give your thoughts on how you thought the series would play out, before it even started. B. Austin, you want to start us off?
Um, I actually want to believe that Memphis can pull this out with my heart. I'm not betting on them, but I believe that Zebo and Mark Gasol, the better Gasol, present a better tandem than Tim Duncan and Tiago Splitter. Now, my question becomes the backcourt and the perimeter play of the Spurs, as well as their bench. Can Memphis match up with that and go beyond it? Is Mike Conley versus Tony Parker? Is Ginobili coming off the bench versus
Tony Allen.
Tony Allen? How does that even out? How does that work? I think that I would have to give the perimeter advantage to the Spurs. And the coaching advantage is obvious. We got one of the greatest coaches of all time coaching the Spurs. And the best active NBA coach. So
Yeah, I mean, because if you look at the Golden State series, a lot of people started drinking the Kool-Aid a little bit.
I was one.
But, it just seemed like game by game, Popovich kind of figured those guys out and just started making the adjustments that they needed for the Spurs to win. So I never really subscribed to the notion that Golden State really had a chance of winning that series. I think it was a learning experience for those guys, however. But moving on to Memphis, I did think that this is a better matchup for both teams in comparison to what they've played before because both of these teams present that 1-2 punch down low. I think Zebo and Gasol are basically a part of what's probably the best front court in the league, at least the best 4 or 5 combination in the league. And
Agreed.
with the crafty veteran and Tim Duncan, though, I think they probably have met their match. Not meeting their match, meaning it means they're automatically going to lose the series. But as we saw in Game 1, it's going to be a little bit more difficult to go against a defensive-minded Spurs team as opposed to the Clippers that they faced in the prior round.
The Spurs
And,
are definitely about that defensive life.
and Oklahoma City. Jimmy, what are your thoughts on the series?
Well, my prediction for Game 1 is that the Spurs will win kind of easily. Memphis coming off that tough series. I think the Spurs in Game 1 will get out ahead and win by at least 20. That's my prediction for Game 1. In terms of the rest of the series, I think it'll go down to at least 6 to 7 games. The Memphis Grizzlies are a very tough and also tough-minded team because they've been down in the series a couple times in this playoffs. As a matter of fact, when they played the Clippers, weren't they down like 0-2?
0-2 to the Clippers, down 1 game to the Thunder, and then never look back.
Yes, and
Both
that's the
times.
thing. The thing about this team is they're tough-minded. So losing Game 1 the way I predict they'll lose
Blake Griffin.
won't really shake them. And the way they play basketball is like they play football. The Memphis Grizzlies, to me, are an AFC North team. They get after it on defense. The problem they have at times is being able to get buckets. So when Zebo, I predict Zebo will have an off game in Game 1, and when that happens, that's where the team struggles because their problem is getting buckets. But defensively, they're always in the game. They're tough-minded team, like I said, so they're going to push the Spurs to the limit. Now, whether I think they'll win or not, here's the thing, right? I'm
Can
rooting
you
for them
win?
to win.
Can you
I'm
win
rooting.
without good perimeter play?
I'm rooting for them to win. Now, whether I think they will win, you know what? I'm going on a limb. I think Memphis will win this series, and I think they'll win the series in about 6 games. I might be wrong, but guess what? I'm right anyway.
All right, so yeah, I mean the matchup that they present to the San Antonio Spurs, like I said, in Game 1, it didn't go so well because Zach Randolph had a terrible night. Um, I pretty much think that's going to happen to anybody. I think he just had a bad night at the wrong time. I think the Memphis Grizzlies will get back up, and this will be a very, very competitive series. So we know what's going on down low. Now, the question that Austin posed earlier was about the perimeter. Now, we have a much improved Mike Conley. You have Tony Allen. You have I can't remember the young fella's name.
Poindexter.
Poindexter. Who's pretty good, but it's
Tayshaun Prince off the bench.
Since they've basically been able to bully people in the post throughout the entire playoffs, you really don't get to see whether or not they miss players like Rudy Gay or not. I think, well, he's been out a little longer.
Man.
So, yeah.
And that's OJ Mayo, man. He came with 1 game in the finals without. But Dev, here's my thing. If you watch, in terms of coaching, and Austin mentioned that the Spurs have the ability, well, they have the advantage in coaching. In Game 1, how they defended them, it really wasn't about the perimeter players not doing their thing. Mm-hmm. It was really more about Zach Randolph having a bad game, and they didn't make adjustments to the way they were defending. They were packing the lane. They were allowing Gasol to take as many jump shots as he wanted. Mm-hmm. And the fact of the matter is, he missed a lot of those jump shots as well. And they weren't necessarily mid-range jump shots. They were outside the foul line.
Yeah, they were playing Mark. Yeah, they were playing Mark strong and letting him on that high post kind of drift out further. And the other thing I noticed that you can do with Zebo is you can front him because he can't really jump over a phone book. So you make the pass tougher for him, and then on the backside you have the help coming as soon as that ball's in the air. So it's very difficult.
And that's exactly what they did. So now this is what's going to be telling. It's going to be telling whether or not
young pop.
No, it's going to be telling whether or not they make adjustments to the way they defended them. So that will tell a lot. If they don't do that, Spurs will run away with the series.
Yeah, because it's one of those things. Back to the point I was making about like a Rudy Gay. The team is definitely a better team without him because Rudy Gay is not really interested in playing in defense. Mm-hmm. However, like I said, since the opportunity for the other team hasn't really presented itself much in the playoffs, I saw it in Game 1 of Oklahoma City. And I was thinking at the finish of that game, had they had Rudy Gay, they probably would have finished that game off. But at the same time, had they had Rudy Gay, they might not have been in that situation because Kevin Durant probably would have roasted him to hell. But I agree with you guys. I mean, they go how the post players go. So and this is a big if because I don't really think they're going to be able to shut Zach Randolph down for 6 more games in this series. If they can have those guys having off nights, maybe not letting both of them get off at the same time, then they have a good chance of winning because the Spurs, we know they have a lot of crafty veterans to go along with the younger guys that they have on the team now.
How good is Tim Duncan still that he can confound and confuse the best 4 or 5 front court combination in the league? He can still give them problems. His game, his mind, and the combination of Pop's mind, and he's still shutting these young cats down. Not that Zebo is really that young, but
yeah, but I mean, also it wasn't just Tim Duncan. It was the team.
It was the system they were playing.
The way they were swarming him, they were kind of getting him out of his rhythm before he had a chance to do anything in the post. So he was rushing a lot of shots.
That's the biggest problem, man. When the ball goes in and it comes back out, can the Memphis perimeter players deliver?
Okay, so with all this being said, I usually never bet against the Spurs. I never go against the Spurs. But in this one, I see Memphis getting off the mat, and I think this is the best chance that they have to make a run at a ring. So I'm gonna go with the Memphis Grizzlies in 7 games to beat the San Antonio Spurs.
You good
They're gonna
brother.
have to get up. I think they're gonna split these first two. I think
I
they're
will
gonna split.
concur.
I took Memphis in 6, yo, because I don't even think it's going back to San Antonio. But
So we got Memphis
anyway,
in 6.
I got Memphis in 6.
Memphis in 6 and 2 Memphis in 7. So let's go ahead and talk about the Eastern Conference. Of course, your Miami Heat, since you know all of y'all root for them now, and the Indiana Pacers during the regular season.
You mean the fans of the Miami Heat, the guys that like Bimbo Coles, Anthony Carter, Ronnie Cycli, and Ike Austin? Those
guys.
Okay.
But during the regular season, the Indiana Pacers won the season series 2-1 over the Heat. Remember, they won the first 2 games, and like Jimmy and I were talking about offline, you know, the confidence got built. The fans started to think Indiana was going to be the team to be able to knock them off. And then in that 3rd game, the Heat just kicked their ass to show them that, you know, we're still the Miami Heat, still the defending champs.
Turn the heat up on them.
There was a little bulletin board material last night by Coach Frank Vogel that I actually think LeBron kind of blew out of proportion. He said the Miami Heat are the next team that's in our way. And LeBron took it as him saying, you know, they're just some team. He said, we're not just another team. We're the world champions, and, you know, we're a great team. Of course, Vogel said today, you know, just another team never came out of my mouth. So just as I suspected, when I heard that news, I kind of think LeBron might be getting this Michael Jordan on, trying to perceive slights as motivation. And, you know, that could be a dangerous thing.
I mean, you need something to do when you're at home for 6 weeks waiting on people.
Yeah, I mean, but you know how the fans took it there. Everybody jumped on LeBron's side, and yeah, Frank, how you gonna disrespect the champions? And he said, it's the same way in every series. Whoever you're playing is the next person in your way from the goal that you want to achieve. So let's talk about the series a little bit. A lot of us thought that the New York Knicks were going to pose the biggest threat to Miami. Just because they lost, we're not really sure that that's not true. But on the other hand, a lot of people are starting to climb back on that Indiana Pacers bandwagon, thinking that they could give the Heat a run for their money in this series. What say you fellas?
What say I say that the Heat are going to bludgeon them. And I'm gonna give the Pacers some respect here. I'm gonna give them some respect because the sum total of their parts is a nice team. Like, I really like their team, so I'm gonna give them 2 games. I'm gonna say that the Heatles are gonna take them down in 6, and here's why. At the end of the day, you got Hibbert and you got West versus Chris Bosh, probably by himself. Hibbert has shown vast improvement. He's a baller. West is known for what West is known for. He's going to give you 17 and 8. So the big man advantage goes to the Pacers. The perimeter. I love Paul George's game, man. I love his game. Lance Stevenson has stepped up and shown that he wants to be in the league and wants to be a good quality NBA player. What's the young man with the concussion?
George Hill.
George Hill, he's balling. They have a decent squad to give Miami a slight scare. And then they're going to get upset, and they're going to beat the shit out of them. And that'll be that.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those things where the Heat
That'll be that.
are even deeper than they were last year. I mean, because you come off your bench with Ray Allen, you still got Mike Miller, who barely
They got 6
burned.
legitimate scorers.
But we do know that Mike Miller will get off that bench when they need him to.
Yes, he will.
You got Rashard Lewis, who still doesn't get any burn. So it's like they have reserves that they can go to whenever they just need.
You got Shane Batty, boy.
I mean, he's a starter, but you got Norris Cole, coming off the bench, depending on.
You got Juwan Howard in his suit, yo.
You got the enforcer who's going to scare Lance Stevenson. So it's one of those things where I think that the Pacers are definitely going to give a great showing.
Yo,
but I just don't think that they're experienced enough on the perimeter to deal with the likes of, Dwayne Wade, LeBron
and
James
Rio.
especially, and
yeah.
whatever.
I want to ask you gentlemen a question really before.
Hold on, let me
Jimmy,
rock.
I gotta ask you a question. Why does Juwan Howard's haircut and shape up look that much better than Chris Paul's at this stage of the game?
He always had a great pause that, but he always had one of the best cuts in the league. Real quick, all I want to say about the series is this: I think that it can go about 6 games. Just the LeBron fact. I think this is LeBron's time. Like, this is his league right now, and he's unstoppable. But at the end of the day, I think Indiana will win a couple games just because they're a well-constructed team. Also, want to send a shout-out to my homie Chill Moody, the only real Pacers fan I know. This boy's a Pacers fan.
Shout out to Chill.
So give him a shout-out. But I don't think his team will have the ability to overcome LeBron. Now, Dwayne Wade, I want to see where his health lies. Because if he's not able to, go at 100% or even 70, 65% for that matter, it does change things a little bit. But LeBron is still the best player on the team. His team is scoring, rebounding, assists. He's the best defender. So I still think they can win without D-Wade, but I think he can make things interesting if he's not able to go, at 100%.
Yeah. I look at it. I got the Heat winning in 5 games. Now, when you say somebody's going to win in 5, it kind of seems like, oh, they're just going, kick their butts. No, I actually think there will be 5 tough, competitive games. Yeah. But when it gets down to that crunch time, I just think the experience of the Miami Heat is going to take them over in those situations. It'll be those type of games where, people who are rooting for the Pacers are rooting against the Heat. They're going to have hope until late in the games, and then
I
think they're not going to be able to get over the hump.
I just also want to say that shout out to Indiana on another reason, because everybody was looking at the Knicks so bad in terms of what they didn't do. No one looked at the fact that the Pacers outplayed them on every aspect of the game, man. And defensively, Frank Vogel was had them ready to play, man. They were definitely ready to play. They went after it. They were more aggressive. So I want to see if Miami can match that intensity. It may be one of those situations where Game 1, the Pacers might steal Game 1 just because the Heat been sitting around again.
X factor, Hibbert.
And this is true because Miami has nobody to kind of like. He don't even have to play defense on terms of like guarding his man one-on-one. There's nobody to like. He can sit around this goaltend like he did last series.
I mean, it's his time to do something offensively that's going to put the team over that hump.
Now, I have a question for y'all. Are the Pacers, as you see them constructed currently, are they better than the Bulls?
Who's not? I mean, it's hard to ask about the Bulls.
They're missing their best player.
That's what I'm saying. They're missing their best three players. Yeah, it's hard to compare any team to the Bulls right now. I would say a Bulls team fully constructed, I probably would say no, just because of the way those guys go after it and play defense. If they're able to step up and at least be as competitive as they were against the Miami Heat with all those guys missing, like, it's kind of scary to think if they could, be 100% and actually put it together that way. Because, sometimes when teams are missing people, dudes play harder, and then when those people come back, you're not getting the same type of chemistry. But if you can get the Bulls playing the way that they play when they're missing people, once they get those people back, it'll be difficult to say that there's too many teams better than those guys. But injuries.
But at the end of the day, man, the Bulls were playing that way before didn't the Bulls have like the number 1 seed a couple years ago?
Yeah, they had the number 1 seed. Last year.
But this is about the Pacers, man. I'm sorry, I ain't mean to disrespect y'all, man.
Yeah, what are we talking about?
Roy Hibbert, man. Roy Hibbert. Shout out to Georgetown University.
That's all good though. So I got the Miami Heat in 5. Jimmy, you got the Heat in 6. And B. Austin, you said the Heat in 6 as well?
Heat in 6.
All right, so, this has been the conference finals edition of Inside the War Room. Make sure you click the like button on the videos. Make sure you subscribe to the channel so you know when we have new material coming out. Make sure you comment, because we will comment back if your comment is worthy of a response. So until next time, everybody, don't accept mediocrity and be steadfast in the war against ignorance.
See you chumps on top.
War Room Tank.
Wait, it's the war room with 5 nights at the round table. 5 Philly guys diversified.